You've heard me say before that the body doesn't lie, and neither does energy. And sometimes, in a world full of chaos and noise and tons of constant perpetual feedback, it can be really difficult to know what is truth, especially what is truth for you, being bombarded all the time with stimulation. So today we're going to talk about a very simple way that we can learn to listen to our bodies and really lean into what that energy has to teach us. Hello, fabulous. I hope today is treating you kindly. Today we're going to be talking about applied kinesiology, or for those who've never heard of that before, it basically just means muscle testing. There are loads of professions that do this in order to kind of get to root cause of some issues, figure out like pinpoint problems. I know my chiropractor does this kind of thing all the time. I certainly do this kind of thing to, just serve and support me. So we're going to talk about how that works. Before we do that, though, please do me a favor if you wouldn't mind. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so that you can stay up to date on all my latest content. I post weekly just for you, and it would really help me out if you wouldn't mind commenting below. Let me know how these videos are impacting you, and also share. Sharing is caring, unless it's germs. So we want to share with our friends when we find something that is supportive and beneficial. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk more about applied kinesiology and what it means. Now, your body will not lie to you about what's going on. And sometimes those messages, especially if we're not really into a lot of somatic work or body work, they may be confusing. We may not understand what our body's trying to tell us. And so we need to open up a means of communication that makes sense. Like, help me help you. Tell me how to respond in a way that you'll understand what I'm trying to say. It's very similar to like when we're having conversations with spirit and people who have transitioned from the physical into the non-physical. If they want to deliver messages to their people, sometimes they'll have like before the person transitions, they'll have like a predetermined signal or sign, like, hey, whenever you see a penny in a doorway, or you see this specific type of bird or butterfly or moth or whatever, then you'll know I'm with you. So it's a very similar kind of thing with our body, and just giving a very simple explanation as to, or just a rather simple means of communication, so that we know if whatever it is that we're doing or a part of or involved in or experiencing at the time is aligned with us or not. Because your body will not lie. Same like energy, it's not going to lie to you. It can't. It's just going to tell you straight up what is. And sometimes we may not like the answer. I'm just going to be real about that. Because sometimes you're like, oh, okay, well, what does that mean? And then you just have to dig deeper. So there's lots of ways to do applied kinesiology. You can, again, whatever works best for you. One of my favorite beginning techniques is the stand and lean. And through the magic of editing, I will show you what that looks like. So you're going to stand with your legs kind of nice and wide, at least hip width apart. And you're going to stand up nice and straight and tall, both feet flat on the floor. Feel nice and firm in the surface you're resting on. Feel like you're nice and stable. And what you're going to do is you're going to ask yourself yes, no questions and watch how your body responds. So you can actually start with baseline types of things, stuff that you know to be true, so that you can watch how your body responds to that, so that you know whether or not you have a definitive yes. So for example, is my name Amber? Yes, lean forward. Do I, let's see, do I like sparkles? Yes. Is my hair blonde? Yes. Woo, almost fell over. So that would be a way that you could tell for a firm yes. And you do the exact same thing baseline for no. So you would ask questions that you know are absolutely not true for you. So like, for example, is my name Jennifer? Ooh, no, it's not. I leaned back, sorry. It freaked me out a little bit. Is my hair black? No. Am I wearing fluorescent orange today? No. Okay, so you can see how my body chose to respond, and this is going to be entirely automatic. And you're not necessarily going to feel like you have control over your body when you're asking it questions like this. And sometimes you might get a kind of a big reaction. Like if it's a hard yes, then you're going to lean forward or whichever direction your body moves a lot. Whereas if it's kind of a maybe, kind of not sure, but not really, or maybe, yeah, sort of, kind of sure, then you might get a smaller movement. Now, there is another technique which is a bit more subtle. This is kind of a beginner one that I use, but there's one that's a bit more subtle that I'm going to share with you next. And through the magic of video editing, you will see that here in a second. So here is my hand, as you can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat the same series of questions, but this time I'm going to put my pointy finger over top of my middle finger and I'm going to press down. See? Press down. And what that's going to do is that's going to tell me in a much more subtle, much smaller movement kind of way whether or not something is true for me or not. So, is my name Amber? Firm, yes. Can't move it too much. Do I like mushrooms? No. Look at that big, deep movement. So, if I'm sorry, as I knock my camera around. So, if I'm doing something and I'm not sure whether or not this is for me or this is something that's aligned for me, I will just ask. I will place this finger over top the other fingers and I can just leave the other ones kind of soft and just press down. Is this true for me? Yes. Is this not true for me? No. Hello again, more magical editing. So, as we've learned, we can utilize our bodies and very simple cues, yes, no questions typically, to support ourselves in learning more about our response to our environment. So, again, whether you use the leaning technique, you choose a different means, like I've seen people do the pull apart finger thing. I was never able to do that very well. So I like the finger one in particular, where you're pushing down. You can either push down on middle finger or the pointer finger. Either way, whatever works for you. If you're asking a question that resonates with you, your body will hold firm. If you are asking questions that are dissonant to you, in other words, they're not aligned for you, then you're going to notice weakness. And it's okay. This is totally normal and it feels weird. And I've done this with all kinds of people. Like I have had, like we've done the arm test where you stick your arm out and I'm like pushing down on your arm and you are resisting me with everything you have. And I have had big, gigantic men, which is not a stretch because I'm like 5'2" and 100 pounds. So I'm really small, but I've had big, gigantic men whose arm I've been able to bring all the way down to their side because we're asking questions that are not resonant with them. They don't make sense for them. They're not aligned with whatever it is that we're asking. And so the body's going to respond by dropping or becoming weak in that muscle that you're testing. Or, again, if you're leaning, you're going to move away from the thing that's not for you. So it's super handy. Give it a shot. Let me know what technique works best for you down in the comments below. If you come up with something new and creative, I'd love to hear about it because I'm always big into learning and finding out new ways of doing things. So let me know how this experience is for you and how it works and what you're starting to learn about yourself because I'm always interested. Again, if you haven't already, please do like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so I can bring you more content just like this and beyond. Thank you again with glitter on it for hanging out with me today, and I hope that you have a sparkly rest of your day.